guidance as we go about the business of the people of Eastpointe. We are grateful for the many blessings you have given us. Let us all use the gifts of our talents and treasures to make our community a better place. It is in your name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Albrecht, Mr. Fournier is going to be here tonight, correct?
Yes, Labor Council, Madam Mayor, is going to be present, has asked that an item 12 be added to the agenda for closed session. The reason for the closed session would be a collective bargaining strategy session, also attorney-client privilege communication, and to discuss pending litigation involving the DOJ case.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Here.
Councilmember Lucido?
Here.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Here.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes. So before we do the hearing of the public, can I get a motion, please, to go into closed session, item number 12?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to add 12 to go into closed session for collective bargaining, pending litigation, and for attorney-client privilege.
Support.
Moved and supported, please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
All right.
I think we maybe needed to add,
The MMO.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was planned. We'd like to do that this meeting, or,
I think we
Well-
have
I
to.
think we're going
have
to do
to.
that on the 15th.
okay, yeah, it's not till September 13th. But then there was one other thing I'd like to add to the agenda.
This has to be turned in, she said, by the August 14th.
Yeah, this is
Oh,
a
okay.
representation for...
So we have to do
Oh,
this
sorry, I
tonight.
misheard you.
Yeah. no.
Okay. Well, then I'll motion to,
Add another item.
add another item to the agenda, designating a representative and alternate voting representative to the MML's annual business meeting.
So that would be item E,
Yeah.
under new business.
Yes.
Support.
Moved and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
And then the other item I'd like to add to the agenda was appointing an interim city manager.
I think we can,
I think that's an automatic.
well, I'm not sure if it's automatic, but I think we can wait until next meeting to do that. You might be able to kind of explain it better than I spoke to Steve a little bit about it, and he said that as of now, you kind of have all the authority to do everything that would be required. So
As
we
the
can-
assistant city manager, when there is no city manager present, I have the authority to act as the city manager in his stead. That is already in place, so you don't have to worry about making an appointment at that point in time. You still haven't quite decided on how the length of the process or what you want to do with this recruitment. Once that's determined, then we can talk about what you want to do next. But I assume responsibility immediately upon him leaving. And I have, so, before, now, current. So,
Not your first rodeo.
no, I've done this a couple times.
Too many times. All right, let's move on to the hearing of the public. The first hearing of the public, does anyone wish to be heard? Please, Mr. Creech.
Madam Mayor and Council, Harvey Creech, resident of East Detroit. I got really, as I said before too, and even my neighbors, as I start out, you know, they said, Harvey, you haven't got enough time, you only got 3 minutes. This, I'll tell you, this right here, just to start with advanced tree experts that we've got for our city. Right here, I'll just pass this bag down, you can take a look at it. They chipped a stump on my street today, and there's about 5 of those bags they left right on top of our storm drain. As I said, we have no accountability, it looks like in this city whatsoever anymore. The people who cut the grass mow all the grass right out in the street, nobody says nothing. I go out there and I talk to these contractors, does anybody, as I said, where are all the eyes and the ears and the rest of the stuff in this city? That bag right there, I could have built, they left it right on top of the storm sewer, they blew it over there. There's at least 5 bags of this. This is our advanced tree service. We hire them. Who watches these people? Anybody? Nobody. Nobody anymore. As I said, it's all terrible anymore, as I said before too. And here's, I guess I'll just start real easy with, I said, our Eastpointe magazine, whoever does our PR right now, maybe somebody better talk to him pretty easy, because I said, I'll just start right along with that. I said, with our parks, I love it. It says, for a community that sits on only 5 square miles of land, Eastpointe boasts approximately 75 acres. That 75 acres are already delinquent we need at least 105 to 202, according to the national report. So we're a little bit short. I mean, I'll read it, but I really don't have the time because it says right here, between the city of Roseville and Eastpointe, the two cities are deficiently approximately 350 acres. That leaves Roseville 225 acres in the city of East Detroit. It's just ridiculous. We don't have the land, we don't have the property, and we boast of our parks. We have 9 parks, 5 of them, 3 of them we have bathrooms in. 2 other ones we have, and the other ones are just mini parks. But yeah, we can boast of them. And I say I'm going to just go through here quite easily, and to say if you park by park, and yet we boast of them. It says Rain Park, ADA accessible. I wish Mary was here because I asked her, what's ADA? I know exactly what it is, American Disability. Every one of our parks are American Disability. Let's start with Memorial. I've been working on it since we started. We don't even have the signs here. We don't have van access. We don't have hardly anything, but every one of our parks are ADA. Kennedy Park, ADA accessible. I said horseshoe pits. We have 8 horseshoe pits over, we have 4 right there. We have 4 there. We have 4 at Memorial. We have 2 at Spindler. We have no horseshoes. Well, I tell you what, I felt sorry for the city. I went and bought 6 pairs of horseshoes. So now I'll drop off 2 at each park. We have shuffleboards. 6 shuffleboards, no equipment. 2 volleyball courts, no volleyballs. But this is great. Like I said, I love it. Park by park by park. I just said this right here. Roxana Park, ADA accessible. Memorial Field, horseshoe pits, no horseshoes. Volleyball, no volleyballs. Play equipment, and I love this one, play equipment. In Memorial, we don't have any play equipment. We use the schools, and yet we have a play school sitting over there at DPW. It got taken out and it's just sitting there. You think we'd go put it in one of our parks. I guess it's a good place to leave it right there. But I say, people, please, pay attention to what's going on in this city. We're talking about heads and rest of the stuff.
You have 30 seconds.
Spindler Park. I love it. ADA accessible. Horseshoe pits. Shuffleboard. Sand, volleyball. And I love this, the sled hill. We've already rebuilt it twice. Now we're going to build it again. Yeah, now we're going on the 3rd time. We got a mound of dirt over there. The people in the area are just asking me, they said, what are we doing, Harvey? This is absurd.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Bonita Johnson. I don't want to just be heard, I want something to be done. I actually met with Mr. Randall Bloom earlier today, and he has a very nasty, disgusting attitude. And I think I can fairly say that being the conversation that we had earlier today, it actually went anywhere. But anyway, my problem today is that I recently submitted some documentation to have a bill placed in my name, a water bill, an outstanding water bill. It's actually kind of ridiculous because it's not making sense that at first the bill was $200 and it jumps to $800. So anyway, that had nothing to do with me. So I went down there, submitted some documentation. I found out earlier that in the state of Michigan that I was signed as a registered agent without my knowledge. So I filed with the state of Michigan to resign as registered agent. So at that point, I went to the city of Eastpointe to change the information, and my water was shut off because I tried to change the information. Nothing was done. I spoke with, I can't see her name, Linda and Mr. Bloom. Nothing happened. They actually forwarded me to Mr. Albright and said that they can't do anything. Meanwhile, I have a 7-year-old and we're without water. I have the paperwork and everything. I'm not a legal person. I don't have civil rights. I have inalienable rights. And this is ridiculous, and I would like my water turned back on, and I would not like to be extra taxed for any excess bills that people want to pay for themselves. I have the information right here. I was told Mr. Albright to give this to him.
Right, we can't answer your questions during the hearing of the public,
You can't.
but you can pass the information on to Mr. Albright or Ms. Lintz down there, and be sure and give them your name and your address and your phone number, and they will follow up.
I hope this be soon, because right now, I don't have any water.
They're the people you can speak with, so you can just go over here. Thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Cassandra Ford. My address is 18150 Juliana, Eastpointe, Michigan. And I have two things that I want to bring up. One is the street that I live on, right behind me is Old 8 Mile, and that street is very raggedy. I don't know if there's somewhere in the plan for that street to be fixed or something to be done about that street, but that's one question. The other one was maybe a couple years ago, I don't know exactly how long it's been, but there was an incident that happened in Eastpointe where a guy in the police department was beat up or something that happened. I'm just trying to find out the status of that. I don't know his name. It was a report that was on the news, you know, it was kind of the reason why I started coming back to the meetings, and I forgot to ask that. Every time I've been here, I forgot to ask about it. But there was a young man, he was picked up by the police officers, and he was chained to the chair, and it supposedly showed the police officers beating him and that kind of thing. So I just want to update on where that is or what's happening with that.
So we're not allowed to answer those questions, but I'm sure you can make an appointment with Mr. McNeilance over there, Chief McNeilance, and he'd be happy to work with you and provide you some additional information.
Okay, so I'd have to go to the chief to ask that question? I
He's
couldn't-
right there.
Okay,
Just give him your telephone number and your address, he'll make an appointment for you.
okay.
Thank you. Does anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is closed. We'll go on to the approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of July 18th.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 18th, 2017.
Do we have support?
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings, no unfinished business. Move on to reports from administration. We'll start with our
Assistant City Manager?
intermittent city manager.
That too,
All of the above.
all the above. Just to highlight, tomorrow night is our last Music in the Plaza for the season, so hopefully, I've been told the weather's supposed to hold up. I don't have to watch the radar tomorrow, that would be perfect. I believe Tony Lipinski from Rare let you know that Sizzling Summer Nights, and remind everybody that that is Thursday night. Again, hopefully the weather holds for our two events. Other than that, I've been preparing for election stuff, so I've been busy, but if there's any questions or something I can look up for you, let me know.
Anyone have any questions?
I had one administrative thing. I was going to mention that occurred to me today. Does council think we should add approval of the agenda to our agendas? It might make it a little smoother if we ever have to add, because I feel with all the litigation and stuff, it's almost like every other meeting, so.
Yeah, and there's not really a place to discuss adding things at the beginning.
So I was just going to suggest adding that kind of like to the
Well,
template of our agenda.
And so many people have, they lump together the minutes and everything that has very rare changes to it and put that in as a group thing, so we could do that as well.
Oh,
I put it under number 3, like along with approval of the minutes, approval of the agenda, is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay,
oh, yeah, I see, okay. Yeah.
just like putting them together.
Because we can go months and months and months and never add a single thing
Yeah.
to the agenda, and it just seems all of a sudden we're doing that. So we'll look into that and maybe come up with an idea for the next meeting.
Okay.
I think that's just a change to the council bylaws, I think.
Oh,
But I'm wondering also if it fits within Sturgis. That's why I think we need to look that up.
I don't have my Sturgis book with me this evening, but I'll follow up on that, and I'll also review the council bylaws as well. But I believe, from my recollection, the bylaws do set forth the format that a city council meeting is to follow, and it's the present format that's how the agenda is structured for tonight.
We can always change, if it's possible to change, we can always change. So if you look that up and bring that back for the next meeting,
I will, yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Finance Director, Mr. Blum.
I actually have nothing additional to report. Yes, I did meet with the lady that spoke. Generally, they don't like it when they don't get the answer they want, but whatever. Can't help that one. But you did get the email with the additional information, I assume? Okay. That's all I have.
When did you send that out?
This afternoon.
I didn't get it, so it's.
Okay, the information she was handing to the city attorney was scanned and sent off to council. So there's a little more background to that.
Okay. I had a couple other questions, but they're probably answered in your emails.
About that, yeah.
Okay. Anyone have questions for Mr. Bloom? No. All right, let's move on to Mr. Albright.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. City administration is requesting that several of the open dangerous building cases be scheduled for show cause hearings due to noncompliance. Those addresses include 24932 Tuscany, 23069 Firwood, 22400 Beechwood, 15681 Crescentwood, 22067 Gascony, 21934 Linwood, 22054 Oakwood, and 23753 Roush. I checked with Ms. Van Haren, and she is available either the first or third meeting in September to participate in those show cause hearings.
Would you like to do it the first meeting? With an hour meeting?
Yeah, 8's a lot for a half hour for sure.
Yeah, no, we have to do an hour.
Do 6.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
Are you fine with the first week in September?
Yeah, we're
Yes.
sorry.
First meeting in September, 6 o'clock.
Right.
Okay. I'll send out the appropriate notices and also post at the properties. Council's also in receipt of our firm's monthly status report, and what I did was include a proposed dog tethering ordinance. As the council will recall, a resident appeared back at the July 18th meeting and had asked the council to consider a dog tethering ordinance similar to one that the city of Detroit had recently adopted. I reviewed the city's current ordinance, and the current ordinance did have some references and restrictions and regulations with regard to dog tethering. However, the City of Detroit's new ordinance is much more expansive, and I do believe provides more protection for dogs in a lot of different circumstances. And so I have added that as a proposed ordinance. It's under the animals, Article 1 in general, under Section 8-1, care of animals, and those are set forth in the attachment to the council status report. So
I liked what you had in your status report.
Okay.
I thought it addressed everything the woman brought forward.
Yeah, I agree. I thought you covered everything that was a concern.
So do you want to formalize that and bring it forward at the next meeting?
I'd be happy to do so. I'll put it in proposed ordinance form and bring it before the council at the next meeting.
Did you have anything else on that, Mike? Did you want anything else?
No.
Cardy? All right.
Okay, so I'll submit as drafted. And other than that, Madam Mayor, I do not have anything further. I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I was wondering, the woman had specifically referred to the city of Detroit. Do other local areas have ordinances related to tethering? Or are they all included under the animal?
It's hard to say. I didn't, in my research, I focused primarily on the City of Detroit ordinance, because once I read it, I determined that they put a lot of work into that, because it is very expansive and it is fairly new. And so, and I know that the resident, he had specifically referenced the City of Detroit ordinance. So after I reviewed the City of Detroit's ordinance, I thought it was a very good piece of legislation. So that's why I included that as a proposal here.
Good. Okay, so bring it forward on the 15th.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
I did have some questions, and I wanted to find out how council felt about it. In terms of the properties that we recently received through tax reversion, we've had a little bit of discussion up here about not selling it as a block, and so I know the state law outlines how to auction them off individually, but I kind of want to explore more about what our options are and how much latitude we have in determining what to do with that property. I think specifically, I'd like to find out if it's legal for us to, if there is an occupant there, someone who wasn't like the homeowner, maybe if it was a renter, they had no idea or something, if we can give them the,
First opportunity.
yeah, first bite at the apple.
Just like Randy sent out today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
And-
that was a great idea.
And then, so, and I don't know if we'd need a policy to do that, or if we could do it on a case-by-case basis, but I think we need a little more research to know what we're allowed to do.
If we're legally like us allowed to sell them on a land contract.
Yeah, Councilman Kleinfeld did contact me today about having a right of first refusal as a policy regarding these tax reversion properties. What I'd like to do is an opportunity to research that a little further and also contact some neighboring communities to see if they have a policy in effect. They may not, but if they do, find out if their policy has been successful and any problems, if any, that they've experienced. But that's certainly something I would be happy to do also.
One thing I would point out, the state law for the auction is actually on when the property is foreclosed on, which is what the county does. So because we get to buy it from the county, then the state law isn't relevant to when we turn around and sell them. We can sell them whatever our charter and ordinance allows us to do. It's only that initial step of selling the tax foreclosure properties if the county were to auction them directly to individuals. So it also would apply to us if we did our own foreclosures and then we were going to sell them that way.
How many of these foreclosed homes are we getting from the county that actually have residents in them, and why is that happening?
Well, because county isn't doing their job. But no, they're supposed to actually have the people out of the house before we take them over. They have not done that in years, and we have continually gotten foreclosed properties that still have occupants. Some have been squatters, some have been renters that didn't know their landlord didn't own the property anymore, and some were just homeowners that just never left. The current batch, we got the 10 properties, 2 were vacant property or parcels. 1 is going to be demoed, so there's only 7 homes that will actually be available to sell. The best we can tell, there is only the 1 occupied home at this point. There may be another one, but we really couldn't tell if they were truly there or not. Joe Marucci has gone off and done kind of a review of all the properties, and that's what we came back with. We based it both on water usage and just observation. So that we did, like I said, we did contact the 1 home that was occupied, and it was a renter who the tenant or the landlord had lost the property in foreclosure. So the initial conversation was get ready to move, and then it proceeded from there.
Most of those cases in the past, once the city becomes the owner, the occupants vacate at
Right.
some point. But if they refuse to, then the city has eviction proceedings that it can pursue in the 38th District Court. I know that we've utilized those rarely, but it is an option that the city can pursue. Most of the people, though, just voluntarily
So-
vacate.
So maybe at some point in time, you might present to the council the current law related to the county and the conflict that it has perhaps, or the agreement that we have to have in place with the conflict in that law. It just doesn't seem right to me if the county is sending a house out, why they're not trying to sell it to the owner.
I think
Oh,
I think they tried to do that, actually. And-
That's part of the process. They do.
But again, this is a renter situation, and they're unaware that the owner of the property, which is an investment corporation, lost it. So we try to make quick contact with those individuals as soon as we take over and purchase them and cut the check, so they're no longer sending checks out one. and
Yeah, quit paying
any
your
more
rent.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
Because the
do
guy
not
doesn't
pay
own
more
it.
rent because they don't own it, and then try to figure out from there how we're going to accommodate or not accommodate the folks. And
We have attempted this in the past, and most renters really weren't interested in owning the home. And they were more than happy to just pack up and move on to the next
They
place.
didn't want to be homeowners.
They
just
didn't want the responsibility. This is the first time we've actually approached anybody, and they expressed interest.
It sounds like this has been a really good renter,
Yes.
or very good residence.
We've done an initial background on it, and seems like you'd want to keep a 4-year resident in place, so.
Okay,
So then would, we just probably, I think from a discussion with you previously, Mr. Blum, we'd probably we just need to weigh, like, how we currently do it. We sell them all. Some of them are gonna be nicer and better than others. If we're selling one at a time, we might be left with a couple then that nobody wants to buy. So I think we just have to,
That was our
Balance.
problem in the past, that the good ones got sold, and we were
kind
left
of
with a
run the
bunch of
gamut on
crud.
how we've tried to get
Yeah.
rid of them. But once we got into the, 60 and 70 and 80, homes on
Right.
tax reversion, it became overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time we've seen this small of a
Few number,
batch since
right.
like 2007.
sure.
So yeah, we've tried it different ways. It's just how you want to proceed.
we're actually right, almost back to our normal figures in 2006 and 7, when there was only like 6 to 10 homes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we started with, and then we ballooned, I think, as high as almost 90, didn't we?
Yeah, it was like
Peter?
87 was our peak, so we were happy when it was under 30 the previous year.
All right, anything else for city attorney? And let's move on to new business, and our first item is a special event application for armed and dangerous tent revival.
I'll take a stab at that, Madam Mayor. Motion to approve the request from Oasis International Church to hold an armed and dangerous tent revival on Saturday, August 26, 2017 at 7:30 PM to 10 PM, and Sunday, August 27, 2017 at 3 PM to 6 PM, with the following conditions. Number one, the organization must obtain a permit for the tent and have inspections prior to the event. Number two, the organization must provide a site plan showing that they meet the required setbacks for the tent from existing buildings. 3, the tent must comply with the adopted fire code, section 2401. Number 4, the organization will need 1 trained crowd manager. Number 5, if the organization is preparing food, they must obtain a temporary food license from the Macomb County Health Department. And last but not least, number 6, the organization must submit to the city a general liability insurance certificate naming the city of Eastpointe as additional insured on the policy for this event in the amount of $1 million.
Support?
Move with support. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. Our next item is the approval of the agreement between the East Detroit Police Officers Association and the City of Eastpointe for 2017 to 2020. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the East Detroit Police Officers Association of Michigan 2017 to 2020 collective bargaining agreement as presented, and authorize the city manager or assistant city manager to execute all necessary documents related to the agreement.
Support?
Move with support. Please call the roll unless there's any questions. It's been ratified. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Item C is the approval of the agreement between the East Point Police Command Officers Association and the City of East Point for 2017 to 2020. We have a motion?
Sure, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to approve the East Point Police Command Officers Association 2017 to 2020 collective bargaining agreement as presented, and authorize the city manager or assistant city manager to execute all documents related to this tentative agreement.
Support.
Move with support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Item D is the appointment to the Recreational Authority of Roseville and Eastpointe, and we have the opportunity to appoint someone for the administration as well as a representative. So do we have a motion?
Should we discuss this briefly before motioning?
Sure.
All right, I'll go first then, sure. I thought that, I don't know what the rest of council thinks, but I know we've had 3 applications recently for the commission. The current, well, currently Mr. Marion, Mr. Duchesne on it, a council person, and city administrator are on it. That seems to work out well. I think we could do that again, or depending on how council feels, selecting 2 of the applicants or a mix of the 2. I was interested to see what the rest of council was thinking on that.
Oh,
I believe that the bylaws say that we need to do that.
The, do what?
You're
Sorry.
saying you want to put a council member on and an administrator?
Sure, I think that,
I mean, we can,
Good.
we
But
can.
Mr. Marion was not on council when he was appointed.
sure, I think we can, because,
We can, but
I spoke to, actually Charles Frontera about this, because he was on in its inception.
he was appointed as a resident by the
Yeah.
board.
And it's not in the articles, but it was sort of always understood it would be a resident and an administrator.
I think
If-
the way it originally sat was that an administrator and a resident, and then the board, because each Eastpointe and Roseville selected those
Yeah.
2, and then the board selected an additional resident, which would be
Yes.
alternate between Eastpointe and Roseville.
Yeah.
I just suggest that because they can spend a lot of time doing things related to rare. Obviously, like Mr. Duchesne was on, he can spend a lot of time. We can still get input from residents at hearing of the public, at meetings, all that. Just seemed it'd be more equal on the board since Mr. Adkins and Charles are on it. That otherwise, you have city administration on Roseville's side, and then 2 residents on our side in terms of like what they
I'd
know
like
and
to
how to run the
I'd
meetings.
like to see Mr. Marucci represent our administration, because he's pretty involved with the parks and all.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest was, Mr. Marucci and then a resident, so it would be more of a mix, not a council person. I mean,
Well, would you want to do it? No. Because Cardy and I are up for elections, so. So yeah, no, I think appointing a resident might be best for now.
I'd like to see a resident that's involved with recreational activities, so they know what's going on. And, you know, it needs to be somebody that's been involved with sports and arts and things like that. And it's gotta be somebody
agree.
that's known. So that's why, I was really pushing on Dan Hogan, because not only his kids, but his grandkids have been involved with it, and he's been really active in soccer and, not soccer, baseball and the arts and things like that, so.
Well, because then my second suggestion after this would be a later discussion would be that I'm surprised the board is only 5. We had our Parks Board was 9, and then I don't know how many were on Roseville's, and now we're just crunched on only input, well, required input from 5 folks instead of maybe 18. I don't know how many were on Roseville's
And
board.
that was because Roseville maintained their Parks and Rec Commission, and Eastpointe chose not to.
Oh, okay, so they still have in addition to the rare board.
Correct. And I think the whole aspect of it was trying to keep it as like an administrative core, so you kept the 5, and then with them, we just chose that we decided at the time that we didn't want to keep our Recreation Board intact, so.
Because the council's feeling at the time was that you could still talk to your representative. It would not be a problem, or to the administrator, whoever it was. And it just happened that at the time that we were forming RARE itself, Steve came on board as a city manager, and so we had appointed him at the time, right? Was,
And John,
John came on as a resident
Yeah.
after Veronica left.
right,
And keep in mind that the RARE is geared towards recreation, where the parks aspect was maintaining the parks and the facilities. And they were separate. They coordinate, but they are supposed to be separate.
So, and the reason why I said Joe Marucci is because when I even mentioned it to Randy, he just went ballistic, because how much more can you give this man to do? Anyway, he's already going to the other meetings. John McNeil is going to Sarisa.
Is Joe interested?
Joe said he would be interested.
Okay.
was that an
I'm-
option?
Well, don't tell him now.
We'll just tell him he's interested, that's
Yeah.
okay. Joe likes to do that kind of stuff, so he's fine with
He's
it.
really into the outdoor stuff, and he spends a lot of time in the parks. But, and that was why I kind of nominated Dan Hogan, was because of his experience otherwise. So.
Okay.
And it really is time for the RARE Board to appoint another resident from Eastpointe.
I've heard they're antsy to fill.
So, so I think with those two positions, it would be good. I think it would give us some good representation.
Okay, I'll make a motion to appoint Daniel Hogan and Joe Marucci to the Recreational Authority of Roseville and Eastpointe for 3-year terms.
Support?
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
So the last thing that we have is the MML appointment of the delegate and the alternate. And currently, I'm the delegate, and I can't remember. Michael, were you the alternate?
I think so.
I think so.
that's what we did last time.
Well,
Yeah,
who
but-
can make it to the, or who's planning on going, I should say. I am not.
You're not going. Are you planning on going?
Let me look at my calendar really quickly.
September 13th. And,
I think it's Tuesday through Friday.
Oh, okay, yeah. I could do that.
well, it says on this note here, the annual meetings, Wednesday, September 13th. I don't know what the other days
And
in.
Tuesday is the number of workshops.
Oh, okay, 13 to 15 it says here. If the 13th's Wednesday, then yeah, it'd be,
So I'm planning on going. I may not be there for all of it, but I'm planning on going at least for the Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay. Did we have an administrator go last year as well? Should we?
No, it was just it was just the delegate and the alternate,
Okay.
and they really should be council person. All right, do you want to
Well,
make
I
that?
can go if everyone's.
I think it sounds,
You're not going,
Okay.
Cardi?
I'm gonna try to go, but I don't know for sure if I'll be able to attend yet.
Good. And you don't have to go for all of it, you can go for part of it.
Okay.
So Wednesday is probably the most important day, Wednesday and Thursday, so.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I motion to designate Suzanne Pixley as the city's official voting representative and Michael Kleinfeld as the alternate voting representative to the Michigan Municipal League's annual business meeting to be held on Wednesday, September 13th, 2017.
support.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley.
Yes. And Michael, that doesn't mean you can't go to the meetings and see how the process goes with the voting,
Oh, yeah.
because it's a good thing to see. Okay. All right, let's move on to payroll and bills.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve payment of the bills in the amount of $1,938,567.61.
Support?
Move in support. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Mayor Pixley?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
We'll move on to our second hearing in the public. Does anyone wish to be heard? Mr. Creech?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council, and residents. I'm glad to see that Joe made it for the rear, and Mr. Hogan. I don't know that much about Mr. Hogan, but I wish him the best, because he's got a pretty hard road to hoe. But I'm getting just the backup, and on the same thing about it. Here's some of the questions that have been asked by the residents and me about the situation. A, why is there still a play school over at DPW instead of in our parks? B, where's the drinking fountains? We have one at Spinner, we don't have any at Kennedy, and we have none at Memorial. 3, why is there walking of the dogs in the parks and we don't have enough of the pooper scoopers and the rest of this stuff? All the residents want to know, we have a dog park, but yet the people using other parks and they walk through it. Number 4, I love that too, our basketball court, since we took them out, now we have all these kids playing basketball in our streets. Our residents are getting mad, the same as me. You go down our side streets, and here's basketball next in our street. When somebody gets hurt, what are you going to do? 4, when are you going to trim the trees? They're right there, we have a tree. When are you going to trim and cut the widowmakers out of the parks? There's a lot of dead limbs over there in these parks, a lot of trees. Residents are asking me, I don't know, maybe somebody will go over and take a look at them. And I said, I guess, in number 5, how many more times are we actually going to build that sled hill over there at Spinner? Every time you turn around and put more dirt on it. Is it going to be ready for this winter? I know everybody, I love it, sir. You go ahead and laugh too, because a lot of people don't think it's funny over there. All they got bringing in dirt, trucks, and a big hill. Nobody even knows where it's coming from. Yeah, like I said, the horseshoe pits and the rest of the stuff, and the volleyball, and I said, and the same thing, and the ADA accessible, and the concession stand over at Memorial. Why does DPW have a lock? No one else has a lock for it. And I said, it's so bad, matter of fact, the last little escapade they had over there, they just cooked whatever they wanted to, no permits or nothing. No health permits, or they just had a big well-to-do. Yeah, and I said, this is the best one too. I went over there, I get up there, and I walk up to, the ticket booth, and I get in there, and all of a sudden this lady says, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go use the restrooms. She said, you can't use the restrooms. I said, what do you mean I can't use the restroom? She said, you have to pay in order to use the restrooms. I said, no, I don't. I'm a resident. She said, if you're a resident, go home and use your own bathroom. So I want all the residents of Eastpointe to know, when they have a special event over Memorial, you can't use the restrooms. Don't worry about it. It worked from 1:30 to 8 o'clock, but we couldn't use the restrooms. I fought that hard just to get them open. Now we can't even use them. I know, I just said one thing after another, after another, after another. The situations are getting worse and worse every day. And I said, what's the use of talking to somebody, because either nobody wants to listen, I go to the top and work my way down and come back up. Health permits are, no one, as I said, follow procedure, just do as you may, go as you may. And I said, and you don't think that you don't need a manager that knows what's going on, or somebody to keep them informed, or the council to keep them going in the right direction? Believe me, you need somebody out there, the same difference of watching everything that's going on, because it's going downhill, people. And I mean, every time I turn around, like I said, look, it doesn't matter in what direction you go. Look around it. Like I said before, too, like I said, Spindler Park, we paid all that money in. The walk path is literally blowing apart. The sidewalks were never fixed. All the crack curbing was never fixed. I never seen a contract on it. I guess now we just do as we may.
You have 30 seconds.
As I said, it just throw it out there and let it fly and see where it comes down. And Mike, this is the best one. Everyone want to tell you this. You asked last time about our parking lot? Well, now we're getting ready to put the roof back on the recreation. We already spent $70,000 in 2008. Now we're going to spend another $30,000 to get it fixed again. I said the budget is, I say, please, get back in there and look at 18 and the CIPs and the rest of the stuff. It's unbelievable what you might see, because I got things I'm going to bring up time after time after time after time, because they're all in here. Every bit of the stuff I'm bringing in money. The park had $619,000 last year. They only used $574,000. Where's the rest of it?
Your time is up, sir.
And yet we can't even get equipment stuff for our park. People, please, pay attention to what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. Creech. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone else? Second hearing in the public is closed. Move to mayor and council reports. Mr.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything this evening.
Mrs. Ocito.
I just want to remind everyone that on Saturday, August 5th, from 12:30 to 4:30, and Monday, August 7th, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. is the book and media sale at the library. Hopefully, everyone can make it out, because it raises a lot of money for the library. Thanks.
Mr. DeMonica.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple quick things also. Mr. Altimus already mentioned Music in the Plaza tomorrow. Again, be sure to come out for that. It's a good time. And then also, we're starting to pick our beautification awards nominees. So make sure your front yard and backyard are up to snuff, and maybe we'll come out and pick your property. And then also just had a chance to go to this great event that was hosted by Chuck Gatica, which was pretty interesting. It was a fundraiser. A friend of mine is involved in the group. It's called Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. So I went out, and it was a pretty neat event, and to see a news anchor running it was pretty interesting. And it's just a group like Neighbors Helping Neighbors kind of group. So I just went out to the fundraiser. If anyone's interested, check them out. Again, it's Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers. And that was all I had, Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. Mr. Creech, I appreciate you coming forward with all of your items, and I wrote them all down, and I'm going to pass these on to Joe Marucci. So if you see things, make an appointment with Joe and give him your list, and let's see what we can do to repair some of those. I saw some people. I was at Praise in the Park a couple weeks ago, and I saw a number of people playing horseshoes over at not at Kennedy Park. So I know those are getting used, but I think people are bringing their own horseshoes. The basketball courts, those were taken down because of the major complaints of the neighbors. And we're looking to establish basketball courts that we can use and have kids go to. For some reason, they don't want to go indoors. They want to play outside. So we're still working on that, but that's something that RARE can develop working with the school boards, I think. I'm really excited to see that the high school will allow some swimming classes that will be allowed through RARE. They're looking for lifeguards right now, so if you know of any certified lifeguards, please call RARE. That's going to be, I think, a great night when you can have family swimming and everything else, and we've been looking for that for a long, long time. The water faucets was a big discussion in 2005 because there were problems, and the mayor at the time was Mr. Austin, and he did not want another water faucet. So at that time, all those water faucets were taken out. So they've been gone for about 12 years. That was a major discussion, and I think it was a 3-2 vote, but the water faucets disappeared at that time. So they've been gone a long time. So we'll take into consideration everything else that you said, and I hope that the problem can be resolved with the people that came forward tonight. So I have to tell you, I enjoyed the library. The library musicians that have played on 2 different occasions were really good. Sue Todd did a great job with hiring those people. And I made a suggestion that we try to get the one group over here to Music in the Plaza next year because they were well received.
Oh, was it the second group that?
It was the first group.
The first group.
Mm-hmm. But the second group, I just caught the vignette, and it was really good. So our library is doing a phenomenal job over there, and they really do a great job. And I saw that you are out and taking pictures of houses, so it should be interesting. That's always a great day with the landscape awards. So that's all I have, and I would entertain the motion then to go into closed session.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to go into closed session regarding collective bargaining and also attorney-client privilege regarding the Department of Justice lawsuit.
Support.
With the support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Kleinfeld,
Yes.
Mayor Pixley,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido.
Yes.